today and to do this seminar. Inshallah, assalamu alaikum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to come and do this seminar today, as I will be taking you to Hajj. It is a tremendous blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He invites those who have the intention to go to Hajj. Everyone makes the intention. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at all times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts the intention in their hearts to go. And then they do something about it, they act upon it, which is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they have not only taken up that incentive that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in them, in the intention, but they've actually carried forth with an action, whether that means reaching out, calling, looking at the flyer or whatnot, and making the decision to go. The Umrah itself, as Shaykh Abdullah has read in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and complete Hajj and Umrah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This journey that we're going to go on, it's a religious journey, and to fulfill the rites of Umrah, because that's what we've intended to go to do, is Umrah. The rites themselves are fulfilled for who? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one else. You're not hoping for a dunya reward, you're not looking for an award, you're not looking for anything of this world. You're doing it simply for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all. You're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever rewards there is, it's to Allah. Whatever happiness comes out of it, it's for Allah to give you or not. Whatever hardship comes, it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala too. So, in the journey for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever happens, it happens. There are things that are in your control, and there's things that are not in your control. At the end, when you do something for the sake of Allah, nothing is in your control. As soon as you go to as soon as you say that you want to go on this journey, nothing then is in your control. You may think it's in your control, it's not. There are those who want to go and they're prevented from going. There are those who want to go and they have obstacles that are thrown in their way. There are those who intend to go and something happens and they're prevented from going. There are those who go there and they don't get what they're looking for. They don't get what they're looking for. At the end, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who will give you whatever you're looking for. Whatever you're looking for, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give it. There are those who want to go to Hajj and they want to go to Umrah, but they have obstacles in their way. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give them the rewards, and they can get the same rewards as those who have gone to Umrah. Once one of the great scholars, Al-Ibrahim al-Mubarak, one of the great Mujtahid Imams, he once went to Hajj. I'll tell you the story. He went to Hajj. And at Hajj, after the Hajj, he is lying after the completion of all the rites of Hajj. He's lying in his bed and he has a dream. And the dream that he has, and this is one of the great scholars, he has a dream, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he has a dream, and the dream that he has is the angels tell him that no one's Hajj was accepted at this Hajj, including himself. His own Hajj. No one's Hajj this year was accepted, except one person. One person. A cobbler. Hajj was accepted, even though he did not come to Hajj that year. His Hajj was accepted. He got the reward of that Hajj that no one else got in that Hajj. So the angels in his dream told him of the person and where he was. So Ibrahim wanted to find out, how come this person, this cobbler, a cobbler is a shoemaker. You know what a cobbler is, a shoemaker. So he wanted to find out And so he goes to Syria. He goes to Syria, and he asked about this cobbler. He asked for about this cobbler by name, because the name came into his dream, came from the angels. So he goes to the house of this cobbler, and he waits for him, and he comes home. And he says to him, Abdullah ibn Mubarak radiallahu anhu, he says to him, he says, I went to Hajj, and I had this dream. And it says that you got the reward. Were you supposed to go to Hajj this year? He says, I was. So he says, tell me your story. So he tells him, he starts telling him his story. He says, I lived here, and I'm a shoemaker, I'm a cobbler, and I wanted to go to Hajj 20 years ago. But I couldn't go because I did not have the funds to go. But every year, I would take some money and I would put it aside. And this year, the 20th year, I had enough to go to Hajj. I had enough to go to make Hajj. I had enough to go to make Hajj. So he says, I had it. So one day, I come home and my wife says to me, she smells food from the neighbors. They live in a poor neighborhood. She smells food from the neighbors. And she said his wife, they weren't well-to-do. He's a cobbler, he wasn't well-to-do. His wife wanted some of the food that she smelled from her neighbors. So she says to her husband, the cobbler, she says, go over and ask if they have any leftovers. Go over and ask, do you have any leftovers? So he goes over to his neighbor's house, and the wife of the house answers. And she says to the cobbler, he says to her that my wife was smelling, if you have any leftover, we'd appreciate if you can give her some, not me, give her some. So she says to this cobbler, she says to him, the wife of the house, she says, no, I cannot. Because the meat that I cook is haram for you, but it's halal for me. The meat is impermissible for you to eat, but it's permissible for us to eat. And he's baffled. The cobbler is baffled. How is it that the meat would be haram for me and halal for you? These are my neighbors. I know them from the masjids and so on and so forth. How is this? So he asked her, what does this mean? Explain to me. She said, for the last 3 days, we have been starving, and my children. We didn't have food to eat. And the pains of my children, they kept crying. So today I went out looking for food, and I found a dead donkey. So I took part of that donkey that was dead in the street, and I cooked it for my children. That donkey that's dead is haram to eat. But out of necessity, I had to feed them because of starvation. So it's haram for you to eat, but halal for me to eat. So I cannot give you. The cobbler then tells Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he says to him, he says, I went home and I took the amount of money that I had saved up for Hajj, and I went and I bought groceries and food supply for my neighbor, and so I couldn't make it to Hajj this year. But his Hajj was accepted, even though he didn't go. Hajj was accepted, even though he didn't step foot in the sacred precincts. What do you need to go for successful Umrah? Intention of sincerity, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all. That's all you need. A sincerity. You're not going to look at anything except the Kaaba. You're not going to buy anything. You ain't going to eat anything. You ain't going to buy clothes. You ain't going to buy gifts. All those are secondary, tertiary, whatever. You ain't going for anything except to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do when you intend to go to Hajj or Umrah. That's all you're going to go do. Anything else that you prioritize above it impacts your niyyah and impacts the rewards that you will get. It impacts your rewards that you're going to get. You ain't going to impress anyone except your Lord. And the only way to impress your Lord is sincerity. People are impressed by other things and words, But your Lord is only impressed by your sincerity. Because the closest that you come to your Lord is in the most humble position that you can be in, and that is in your sujood. أقرب العبد إلى الله وهو ساجد. Prophet ﷺ, he says that the closest that the servant comes to his Lord is when he's in sajda, when he's in prostration. The closest. The closest that you will come to your Lord is when you display your humility to Him. The closest you'll come to Him. With people, will judge you based on how you speak, how you look, and so on and so forth. So you're not going for people. You're not going to impress anyone. You're not going to buy anything, eat anything. You're not going for anything. You're going for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah throws an obstacle in your way, He throws an obstacle in your way. So what? If He wants you to wait 10 hours, you're going to wait 10 hours. Nothing that you can do. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing that Brother Imran can do. Nothing you can do. Complain about it, it's not going to help. You can get upset, nothing's going to help. It's not going to help. If you're shoved in the back by someone, there's nothing you can do about it. You can complain, you do whatever you want. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So, because you're going for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, expect whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring your way, that's what He's going to bring your way. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want you to go anyhow? Why did He choose you to go? Could have chose other people to go. Could have chose other people besides me to lead. Could have. I'm not the best servant. I'm probably not the most deserving of servant. Why did He choose you to go? Why did He choose you to go? Because He wants to give you something. That's what He wants. You have to find out what He wants to give you. You. I can't tell you because I don't know. I'll have to figure out myself what Allah wants to give to me by inviting me to go. You figure out what He wants to give to you when you go. Figure it out. Everyone will get something in the end that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to give to them. Maybe it's sincerity. Maybe it's thankfulness. Maybe it's taqwa, consciousness. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to choose a path that is correct. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to correct the path that you were on that was wrong. You figure out what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give to you. Figure it out, what Allah wants to give. And by the end of it, you will figure it out. You will. Whether you accept it or not, you will figure it out. You will figure it out, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give to you. That's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But certainly you will figure it out. You will figure it out. But we have things that we have to do. There's things that we have to do. So, I don't know. Now we get to some technical aspects of it. So there are things that you can do before you go. There are things that you have to do when you're there, and then there are things that you should do, or that you can do when you come back. So let's talk about the things you do now before we leave on the 14th. So what to do before leaving? So I split it up into 3 things. The most important is spiritual preparation. The most important thing when you're going to Hajj, to Umrah or Hajj, Umrah in this case, is your spiritual preparation. Why? Because you want your heart to accept the reward or the love or the sincerity that will come. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may send you something in the physical realm. Well, you may go there and people may throw money in front of you. It could happen. You may go there and someone says, oh, here, I brought some food for you. You can get stuff like that. The most important thing though, and what you should hope for, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes you spiritually. But you have to be willing to accept that change. You have to be willing to accept that change. You know, once I took a group to Hajj. And this sister, I still remember her, this sister, an elderly sister, she came with us. And she says to me before we left, she said, make dua. She said, make dua, Shaykh, because I'm looking for something. And I said to her, I said, Whatever you're looking for, I'll make dua that you find it. And Allah gives it to you. And I'll also make dua that when Allah gives it to you, that you realize that He has given it to you. We came back, traveled back. And we were in London, Heathrow. We stopped off at London Heathrow. And we're going through, and she's in front of me. I asked her, how was your Hajj? She said, it was great, alhamdulillah, it was phenomenal. She says, she said, I got to tell you what I found and what Allah gave to me. So I said, no, keep it to yourself. She said, no, I need to tell you. I said, okay, tell me, what is it that Allah gave to you? She says to me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the ability to want to always stay true to Him and to have taqwa. That's what Allah gave to me. And I said, how so? She said, I have determined to never take off my hijab in front of anyone again. She wasn't wearing hijab before she left. So I've determined to never take it off for His sake. I said, okay. Alhamdulillah. We're going through security. She's in front of me. The girl who checks her passport, this happened. She looks at her, and her picture is without hijab on her passport. She looks at her passport and she says, is this you? And the sister, the elderly sister, she said, yeah, this is me. And the sister rudely says to her, she says, oh, you look better in this picture, in the passport. So I was next. And I said to it's a young security guy, I gave her my passport, and I said, by the way, what you said is rude. And your Lord will take you to account for it. Your Lord will take you account for it. So I went on. So, caught up to the sister, she waited, and she says to me, she says, now I know why I should keep the hijab on. That's what she said. She says, now I know why I should keep the hijab on. And I said, Allah has brought you the gift, but He brought it to you in London. Allah has brought you the gift, and He brought it to you in London. Verification of your taqwa has been brought to London, because that's through the eyes of someone who doesn't know anything. That's through the eyes of someone who's lost. Someone who's lost, you look better in that picture. Someone who is found by their Lord, you look better in your hijab than in that picture. But that's someone who's lost. So Allah has given to you the gift, and it came in London, not there. And that's, alhamdulillah, the benefit of it. Spiritually is what you prepare for. So the first thing, and my first advice, you don't have to do this, you should. This is my advice. Rectify your heart before you go. How do you rectify your heart seeking forgiveness or forgiving people? Forgiving people. The worst thing that you want to do, the worst thing that can happen, you know what the worst thing can happen to you in front of the Kaaba? You know what it is? That you're making dua as you're going around Tawaf, and that sister or that brother who insulted you here, or that brother or sister who stepped on your shoes or hurt your feelings, or said something derogatory to you, that it comes to your head at the Kaaba. That's the worst thing that can happen to you, trust me. The worst thing that can happen to you when you're sitting in front of the Kaaba doing Tawaf, and you say, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me, oh Allah repent, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for my sins, oh Allah forgive me. And then all of a sudden, that picture of that sister or that brother comes into your head. The one who, made you angry. The one who you have a grudge against. The one who you're angry with. The one who you never let go that anger. The one who you never rectify the relationship with. Comes into your head right then. And you're going around, and then you start fumbling in your dua. You're asking for forgiveness of your Lord, but you still have a grudge against someone. You still have a grudge against someone. But you're asking for forgiveness in front of the Kaaba. It is the worst thing that can happen to you. How do you prevent it? Forgive before you leave. And I'm not saying lip service forgiveness. It's not lip service. You can do lip service. It's not lip service. Forgive truly. Whoever has harmed you, insulted you, stepped on your ego, whatever they've done, forgive them. If you can't forgive them verbally, forgive them in your heart. and make dua for them. You know the best way to get people who are impinging your heart, how to get them out of your heart? Make dua for them. The best way to get someone who has insulted you or you have a problem with, the best way to get them out of your heart is to do what? Make dua for them. Oh Allah, help them. Oh Allah, forgive them. Oh Allah, have mercy on them. Oh Allah, make them better than they are now. Oh Allah, make them from the people of Jannah. Oh Allah, put them into Jannah. Oh Allah, place them in the highest place of Jannah. Keep making dua for them, they will leave your heart, because the shaitan will not have any avenue to bring them back into your heart or into your head. The Prophet ﷺ, he said this, and if you make dua for others, this is what happens. When you make dua for others, what happens? The Prophet ﷺ, he says this. He says, "Ma min abdin, ma min muslimin, ma min abdin muslimin, yad'u li akhihi bi dhahr al-ghaybi, hatta qal," that there's no servant, Muslim, who makes dua for his fellow brother or sister, bi dhahr al-ghaybi, without his knowledge, behind his back, meaning that he doesn't have any knowledge of it, until he doesn't make dua. No one, a servant, Muslim, makes dua for his fellow believer without his knowledge. He doesn't know that you're making dua for him, or she's making dua for, or you're making dua for her. They don't know. Until an angel is appointed, and it says, وَلَكَ بِمِثْلِ, and for you likewise. The angel will make dua that whatever you're making dua for, oh Allah, grant him the same thing. Oh Allah, grant her the same thing. If you're making dua for others, the angels are making dua for you. The angel makes dua for you. The angel supplicates on your behalf. And so if you're asking for forgiveness of people, you rectify your heart. The best way to go to the Umrah is a rectified heart. So that when you go, there is no one in your head that have insulted you or done you wrong. No one. No one. When you close your eyes, all you think, and you imagine people, all you think is the goodness of them. All you think is the goodness of them. Best way to do it. Spend more time in ibadat is the second way to prepare spiritually. Because you're going to do a lot of ibadat, might as well start here. Just do a lot of ibadat. Wake up early for Fajr. Pray tahajjud. Start. Spend more time in doing more sunnahs after the salah. Give more sadaqah before you go. It's a sunnah. Before you journey, to give sadaqah. Spend more time in it. Thank Allah for inviting you to go to Hajj. Be very thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you are thankful, then I will certainly increase you. It's an emphatic verse. That if you are thankful, in shakartum la'azidannakum, because it's nun tawheed, that emphatically I will increase you. This is a promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He's going to increase you if you're thankful. So have thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He invited you to go and you accepted, and so you're going to go, inshallah. Increase your dua and give some sadaqah. So last thing, to rectify your heart and to be spiritually prepared for the journey, make dua lots and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those dua, and give some sadaqah. Give some sadaqah before you leave. So that, because sadaqah cleans, and sadaqah is a way of cleaning your intention. That's what sadaqah does. It cleans the person's intention. These are spiritual preparation. And then we have physical and mental preparation. Physical and mental preparation before you go. Walk a little bit more each day. Because the Umrah involves walking. You'll be walking. You will be walking. You'll be walking from the hotel to the masjid, walking back. You'll be doing tawaf 7 times. You'll be doing sa'i 7 times. You'll be going back. You'll be praying, standing. You'll be doing a lot of walking and standing. So, what I would recommend is start doing it now. Start doing it now. Start doing more walking and standing more. Because you're ready for it. Your body will be used to it. Your body will be used to that. to the walking, because that's what we'll be doing. Make sure your medications are sufficient. Make sure that whatever medications you're on and you need, that you take it with you and it's sufficient, doesn't run out. That's a given. Learn the intervals of Umrah, including the things that are forbidden. That's what we're here today. We're going to do this part, learning the intervals of Umrah. And then mental preparation is prepare for delays, adjustments to schedules, and verbal incidents. It will happen. Someone's going to upset you, say something, shove you, whatever. It's going to happen. Maybe you'll get a delay. It's going to happen. You get to a hotel, the people who were in the hotel before took a bit longer to check out. All these things happened to me and previous groups that I led. So you have to sit and wait until they clean the hotel rooms. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do except read Quran, make some dhikr, patiently wait. It's Allah who's making you wait. Everything is in His hands. So if you want to be upset, you can be upset with the one who caused it. But I don't recommend that you do that. So it's Allah who's teaching you patience. The one thing that, especially not Umrah so much, Hajj. The one thing that you can leave Hajj with is patience. The one thing, and it's a virtue. Patience is a virtue. The one thing is leaving there with patience. Umrah, same thing. If it happens, there's a delay or the adjustments. It happens. What can we do? So just prepare for it. Prepare for it. And if you prepare for it, telling yourself, yeah, we're going to have some delays, and nothing happens, alhamdulillah, then you thank Allah for it. Then you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. So these are the things. What do you do when you come back? What do you do when you're there? Sorry. So there's spiritual, mental, physical preparation. Then what do you do when you're there? So my list is things that the Prophet ﷺ has recommended. This is my list. Or what Allah has recommended in Quran. So what do you do when you're there? Keep your gaze down from the dunyawi distractions. Because you're there to, what are you going there for? To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what you're going there for. Every part of your body worships Allah. You know? Every part of your body worships Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yasin, He says what? On that day, Yawma Tashhadu, or that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says on that day that that your hands are going to come as witnesses, and your feet is going to bear witness. What your limbs do will bear witness to what you do. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yasin, that your limbs are going to bear witness to what you do. So your limbs actually worship Allah. Your limbs can worship Allah or disobey Allah. Your limbs, your eyes. Your eyes can worship Allah or disobey Allah. If you look onto the haram, it's disobeyment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're disobeying Allah. It falls into the halal, you're obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You lower your gaze away from the haram, your eyes are obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you get reward. So, when you're there, keep your gaze down. There's lots of things to look at. There is, nowadays, at least in the hotels and all that stuff, lots of things. But you're there in order to do what? To worship Allah. So allow your limbs to worship Allah too. Allow your limbs to worship Allah. And one of the best way that your limbs, your eyes can worship Allah is lower it to the ground, except when you're looking at the Kaaba. Looking at the Kaaba is ibadah. It's ibadah. And that's what you're going there for. You're going there to do tawaf. And you're going there to do what? To look at the Kaaba, because it's ibadah, it's worship. Looking at the Kaaba is worship, as our ulama has said. Why would you impugn that looking at the Kaaba with looking at other things? Why? Why would you impugn it? Why would you put things that are not good to look at while you're there to look at the Kaaba? So don't. So lower your gaze. Increase your du'as while you're there. Make a lot of du'a. Keep the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your tongue at all times. So even when you're walking, just make du'a. Even when you're leaving your hotel, just make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just say subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu akbar, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Every time you step or make a step, just say astaghfirullah. That's all. It helps you to be in that frame mind. It helps you, your mind, to be in that frame of reference of doing worship. That's what it will do. Keep the remembrance of Allah on your tongue at all times.